The direct takeover by the Trump administration of the D.C. Police Department is over for now because Donald Trump and Pam Bondi folded pretty quickly after Judge Reyes pulled together an emergency hearing yesterday at 2 o'clock and made it clear after about an hour of hearing that she was going to rule against Donald Trump and Pam Bondi and find that their takeover by appointing a commissioner, an acting commissioner of the police department in the District of Columbia, violated the home rule law, violated the Constitution, and she was going to enjoin it. She then gave the parties, mainly the Trump administration, a few minutes to save face and go negotiate a settlement and report it back to her, or she was going to enter that injunction. Seeing the clear writing on the wall, Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice decided we better settle. And so Stan Woodward, who's going to be the number 3, apparently, in the Department of Justice, a MAGA lawyer, Jan 6 defender, ran over to try to negotiate a resolution. And by the resolution that was sort of announced, including at a press conference by Mayor Bowser of D.C., the Trump administration would rescind the order issued by Pam Bondi on Thursday night for the commissioner for the takeover of the D.C. Police Department. And if she did that and instead did what Section 740 of the Home Rule Act says she can do, which is, or at least the president can do, which is to make a demand through the mayor on the police department for assistance for no longer than 30 days, then the judge would not enter that particular injunction. I'm not sure what has just happened, though, and the order being rescinded and a new order being issued by Pam Bondi, I'm not sure the judge is going to like this particular thing. And I'm not sure this is not going to stop an eventual injunction from being entered by the judge procedurally. I'll break it all down for you right here on Saturday on Legal AF. All right, let's get to it. How'd we get here? A week or so ago, Donald Trump, in order to distract from his failing administration, failing foreign policy, failing polling numbers, failing economy, I could go on, held a press conference on the day of a trial going on in California that's going to go against him, I believe, in finding that he violated the Posse Comitatus Act by taking over another militia, the state militia in California, to stamp on that story and to sort of step on the story in terms of the news cycle. He held a press conference announcing, I'm going to take over the thing I can take over, the police department and the District of Columbia. Well, you can't do that. And the actual attorney general that I respect in D.C., Brian Schwalber, filed on behalf of the District of Columbia an emergency lawsuit against Pam Bondi and Donald Trump on Friday morning in favor of the mayor, the council, the police chief, and all of that. And it was assigned to Judge Reyes. Judge Reyes, no stranger to the Trump administration. She's already excoriated them a number of times in the transgender soldier case, a case about student records. She's come out of the box really fired up against the Trump administration and their abuse of power. So much so that Trump administration is afraid of Judge Reyes and filed a judicial complaint against her about some comments she made during the transgender case. That brings us to Friday afternoon, 2 o'clock. There's really no briefing at that point. This is really bare bones. She has the complaint. She has the parties in front of her. She's got the motion for temporary restraining order. Now, judges don't need to give the other side time to brief the issue. That's really for a preliminary injunction. But if she's going to do like an administrative stay or some sort of temporary restraining order, she could do it on the spot. I think that's what the Trump administration feared. She was going to do it on the spot. So after about an hour of a very hot bench directed at the Department of Justice, how can you do this? It says very clearly under Section 740 that you have to, of the Home Rule Act, that you have to make a request to the mayor, to the police chief to get the police assistance that you need, not decapitate the organization and install your own police commissioner. Where is that in 740? It's nowhere. And they started arguing, Yakov Roth, the lawyer for the Department of Justice, and others started arguing to the judge, well, it's an emergency. Once the president declares an emergency, then he can do anything. And he said, well, she said that would turn the statute upside down. If an emergency could eat the requirements, And that's Donald Trump's whole charade, right? Everything's an emergency. We have a rising trade imbalance. So even an emergency, I get to use tariffs. We have a 10-year-old drug gang that's roaming around the United States in small numbers. Oh, it's an enemy incursion. It's an emergency. Alien Enemies Act. I can remove everybody. You see where this is going? And judges are holding their feet to the fire. So at the end, the judge says, I'm going to enter an injunction. Maybe you want to go out in the hallway, Trump, and negotiate something in the shadow of that. So they went out in the hallway or into breakout rooms in the court. And 90 minutes or so went. We have reporting that Stan Woodward flew over from Maine Justice, the Department of Justice, to help negotiate this thing as a representative of the leadership. I guess Bondi didn't want to show up, and neither did Todd Blanche. They send over Stan Woodward. Stan Woodward, MAGA to the core, represented one of the co-defendants in the Mar-a-Lago case, and is now 2 heartbeats away from being the Attorney General of the United States at this rate. He comes over and enters the room, I guess, to try to negotiate something. And what they negotiate, what was announced, at least at the press conference I'm going to show you next, by the mayor and by the Attorney General Schwalber, is that they're going to basically enter into an agreed order. The police is going to be returned to the police chief in terms of leadership and the mayor. And let me show you that clip now.
Federal government recognizing that the judge was going to have to make a ruling on this issue actually withdrew and said that they're going to rewrite the language that suggested that the person from the DEA was running the police department, which was illegal and clearly not going to happen. So the key for today is to know that our effort to avoid a hostile takeover of our police force is not going to happen. Chief Smith remains in control of the police department under the supervision of our mayor. Very important win for home rule today.
I'm Muriel Bowser. I'm the mayor of Washington, D.C. I am pleased to stand with our Attorney General, Brian Schwab, and his capable team at the Office of the Attorney General, as well as members of my team. We are grateful for the hard work that was done when we received an order late into the evening, yesterday evening, that we read as plainly against the Home Rule Charter. Our teams worked throughout the night. The judge herself commented on the hard work that was done and presented in the cases made. And I am encouraged by the judge's remarks and the federal government making the changes that were suggested, and the judge's willingness to rule if that's not satisfactory.
All right. Now, if I were them, and I've done this for a long time myself, I would prepare an agreed injunction and have that agreed injunction entered by the judge. I would not trust the Trump administration. I'm sure Schwalber's not going to trust the Trump administration. But all that's on the docket right now is that in order for the judge not to enter the injunction, Pam Bondi had to rescind her order. Didn't really say replace it. Rescind the order from Thursday night, putting Terrence Cole, the acting head of the DEA, in as the acting commissioner in D.C. of the police. But of course, she can't just do that. So she issues another order, which I'm going to read to you from, which I think the judge is not going to be happy about. Again, it's more political grandstanding, more, the DOJ, once again, an arm of the MAGA political machine, not an independent law enforcement source that you can trust. So here's the new order, and see if you can pick out the parts that are going to piss off the judge and probably District of Columbia. And I'm going to post this order up on Legal AF Substack today as well. Residents of, this is order number 6372, 2025. I think it replaced 2024. Residents of the District of Columbia, the thousands of Americans who commute into the district every day for work, and the millions of tourists have a right to feel free and to be free from the scourge of violent crime. Remember that the stats are all down 24% in violent crime in the District of Columbia and most other cities. Now, here's my favorite MAGA fake news has to show up in the second sentence of this order. Notwithstanding false media narratives and apparent efforts from some district employees to manipulate crime statistics, where's the evidence of that? It's another lie by Pam Bondi. The danger posed by violent crime is plain for all to see. Let's remember, the teacher's pet 19-year-old staffer that works for Donald Trump, big balls, he got jumped by a bunch of 14-year-olds. And this is the reason, this is the fake, false narrative reason why they're taking over the police department in the District of Columbia. And then on an executive order, this is now Trump's executive order on August 11th, declaring a crime emergency. Now, let me stop right there. Everybody in the courtroom agreed that the most Donald Trump, the most he can keep and control in any way, the police department, is 30 days. 48 hours and then 30 days, unless Congress enters into Congress issues a joint resolution extending the time to do it. We'll see if MAGA Congress is going to issue this resolution for him. But for right now, it's at least another 20 days or so. Now, here's the change that the judge wanted. Pursuant to Section 3 of the executive order, Drug Enforcement Administration Administrator Terrence Cole shall serve as the Attorney General's designee for the duration of the emergency declared by the President for the purpose of directing the Mayor of the District of Columbia to provide such services of the Metropolitan Police Department as the Attorney General deems necessary and appropriate. Now, they do list here, again, they didn't negotiate this. This is just what Bondi issued and filed with the court today. I hereby deem the following services to be necessary and appropriate and direct the mayor to immediately provide for assistance with the enforcement of federal immigration law as deemed necessary and appropriate by Administrator Cole. So she's delegated to Cole. Assistance with locating, apprehending, and detaining aliens unlawfully present in the United States. Database inquiries and compliance with requests for information from any federal law enforcement entity as deemed necessary and appropriate by Administrator Cole, and enforcement of municipal regulations pertaining to the unlawful occupancy of public spaces. So it looks like this is about immigration and homeless. We're going after the homeless now with federal troops, as directed by Pam Bondi and Terrence Cole. That's what it looks like. If I'm the judge, I'm not thrilled with this, by the way. And if I'm DC, I'm not thrilled with this. I would already be preparing, and if they do it or don't do it, I'll come back and report on it. I would already be preparing an agreed, stipulated temporary restraining order, which memorializes all this. I wouldn't trust Pam Bondi as far as I could throw her. And I don't think the DC Attorney General is either. I'm going to continue to report on it. Thank you for being here on Saturday on Legal AF. Take a moment, hit the free subscribe button. Another way to support us is on Legal AF Substack. Come over to the Substack. I just did a live this morning. It's up there now to update our audience about these issues. And if you really want to help, become a paid subscriber on Legal AF Substack. It's about, I think it's the equivalent of a coffee a month at Starbucks, but so much content that we're providing over on Legal AF Substack. So until my next report, this is Michael Popok. I'm Michael Popok, and I got some big news for our audience. Most of you know me as the co-founder of Midas Touch's Legal AF and the Legal AF YouTube channel, or as a 35-year national trial lawyer. Now, building on what we started together on Legal AF, I've launched a new law firm, the Popok Firm, dedicated to obtaining justice through compassionate and zealous legal representation. At the Popok Firm, we are focused on obtaining justice for those who have been injured or damaged by a life-altering event, by securing the highest dollar recoveries. I've been tirelessly fighting for justice for the last 35 years, so my own law firm organically building on my Legal AF work just feels right. And I've handpicked a team of top-tier trial fighters and settlement experts throughout all 50 states known as big auto injury attorneys who have the know-how to beat heartless insurance companies, corporations, government entities, and their attorneys. Big Auto's attorneys working with my firm are rock stars in their respective states. lawsuits and collectively responsible for billions of dollars in recoveries. So if you or a loved one have been on the wrong side of a catastrophic auto, motor vehicle, rideshare, or truck accident, suffered a personal injury, or been the victim of medical malpractice, employment harassment or discrimination, or suffered a violation of your civil and constitutional rights, then contact the Popok firm today at 1-877-POPOK-AF or by visiting my website at www.thepopokfirm.com and fill out a free case evaluation form. And if we determine that you have a case and you sign with us, we don't get paid unless you do. The Popok firm, fighting for your justice every step of the way.